It started on a Tuesday, which I remember only because I had work the next morning and sleep already felt like something I had to fight for. I had been lying there for maybe 20 minutes, eyes closed, and caught in that specific kind of tired where your body is completely done but your brain refuses to follow. When I heard it, not loud, not sudden, just a slow, low exhale coming from somewhere near my closet. I told myself it was the building settling. Old apartments make sounds. That is what people say, and I needed to believe it, so I rolled over and eventually fell asleep. What I should have done was pay attention to the part of my brain that did not believe it at all, the part that stayed awake with one ear open like an animal that already knows something is moving in the dark. The second night it happened again, and this time I was conscious enough to be completely certain I was not dreaming. Same slow exhale, same direction, same low, almost wet quality to it, like air being pushed deliberately through something narrow and controlled. I sat straight up, grabbed my phone, turned the flashlight on, and aimed it directly at the closet. The door was closed. It is always closed because I keep it that way. I do not like looking at the clutter piled up inside. But that night, the closed door gave me no comfort whatsoever. I stayed still and listened for another 2 or 3 minutes and heard absolutely nothing. I checked the time. It was 17 minutes past 2 in the morning. I told myself it was the heating. My apartment runs on old radiator heat, and the pipes make sounds I have never fully mapped or understood. That explanation felt thin and unconvincing even as I was constructing it, but I held on to it anyway and lay back down and stared at the ceiling until my alarm pulled me out of the dark. On the third night, I decided to record it. I stood my phone upright on my nightstand with the voice memo app already running, turned off every light, and tried to fall asleep as naturally as I could. What I hadn't prepared myself for was the silence. 1 hour passed, maybe longer. I was drifting somewhere between awake and under when it finally came, and this time it was not only an exhale. There was a pause first, a held and deliberate stillness that lasted 3 full seconds. And then the exhale moved through the room, and then came what I can only describe as the very faint beginning of something drawing breath back in before it simply stopped. I did not move. I lay there with every single muscle locked, listening to what came after, and the silence that followed felt occupied in a way that ordinary silence never does. I stayed that way until the darkness outside my window began going gray, and only then did I reach over and stop the recording. I listened to it the next morning with my headphones in, sitting at my kitchen table with daylight coming through the window and coffee in front of me. And I want to be careful and honest about what I actually heard, because I have been going back and forth on it every day since. The exhale is there without question. It is clear and close and directional on the recording, and it sounds like it is originating from inside the room, not from any vent or pipe in the wall. What I am genuinely less certain about is the inhale. On the recording, it could be interference. It could be the microphone picking up the sound of my own breathing from across the room. It could be any number of rational explanations. But the exhale is not something I can explain away. I played it for 2 people I trust completely, and both of them went quiet the moment they heard it, and neither one of them told me it was nothing. I want to describe the layout of my room because I think the geography of the space matters to understanding what has been happening. My bed sits pushed against the left wall when you walk through the door. The The closet is positioned directly across from the foot of my bed, roughly 9 feet of open floor between us. There is a window to my right, single pane, and it looks out onto the alley that runs between my building and the one beside it. There is no one living in the unit directly above me. That apartment has been vacant for 4 months. And I know this not because of anything strange, just because I asked my landlord once, out of general curiosity. The building itself holds 7 units total, and I am on the 3rd floor. I have been taking these facts and rearranging them in my mind every night, trying to build some architecture out of them that results in a reasonable answer. And I have not found one yet. On the 4th night, I made the decision not to try sleeping at all. I sat with my back against the headboard, lamp burning beside me, and I watched the closet door from 11 at night until nearly 3 in the morning. Nothing happened during any of that time. No sound, nothing shifted, nothing moved. By the end of it, I felt the particular kind of foolish that makes a person genuinely angry at themselves for being afraid, and I turned the lamp off and lay down. Within 10 minutes of the room going dark, I heard it again. Closer this time. Closer than it had ever been before. Or perhaps I was simply more awake and more attuned to it. But it felt near enough that I should have been able to reach out and make contact with whatever was producing it. I turned the lamp back on immediately. The room was exactly as I had left it. Closet door closed, window locked. Nothing on the floor. Nothing positioned between me and anything else in that room. The thing I keep returning to, the detail I cannot reason my way around, is the pattern itself. It only happens in the dark. I have sat in that room with every light blazing until 4 in the morning and heard nothing at all. The moment the lights go off within some interval of time, I have not yet been able to calculate exactly it comes. Which means that whatever is making this sound is either responding to the darkness itself, or it is responding to me specifically, to the shift in my breathing or the change in my body when I begin trying to sleep. I cannot decide which of those possibilities disturbs me more. Both of them point toward the same conclusion, that there is something in that room that pays attention. On the 5th night, I placed my laundry hamper directly in front of the closet door. Not because I believed it would prevent anything from happening, only because I needed some form of measurement, some way of knowing whether the door had moved while I was not watching. If the hamper was displaced in the morning, if anything at all had shifted, that would constitute something definitive. I lay down, turned the lights off, and waited. The sound arrived around 1:40 in the morning according to my clock. Exhale. Pause. The impression of something gently pulling back inward. I did not sleep again. When morning came, the hamper was sitting exactly where I'd set it. The closet door had not moved. Something else has begun happening in the days following the worst nights, and I didn't know whether to include this because it sounds like the kind of thing a person says when they have not been sleeping and their mind has started working against them. But I keep noticing it, and I think it is important to be honest. I feel watched during the day now in a way I never experienced before any of this began. Not constantly, not in every room, but in specific and recurring moments. Standing at my kitchen counter in the morning, walking back from the bathroom to my bedroom, a feeling of something located just past the edge of what my eyes can reach, something present and completely patient. I understand how sleep deprivation distorts perception. I am not claiming these feelings are proof of anything. I am only saying they are there, and they are particular in a way that ordinary anxiety has never felt for me. And they started the same week the sound did. Tonight is the 6th night. I have set up a small camera pointed directly at the closet. I want to see what occupies that space during the sounds. Even if what I see is nothing, even if the footage gives me only empty air and a closed door and confirmation that the room is precisely what it has always been. A part of me is hoping for that. A part of me would sleep without any difficulty for the rest of my life if the recording showed nothing, and I could put all of this behind me and blame old pipes and a tired mind. But there is another part of me, the one that has been quiet and watchful all week, that is already preparing itself for the possibility that the footage shows something different. I keep going back to that inhale on the recording, the one that may or may not be there. The way it sounds, if it is there, like something that suddenly understood it had been heard and chose to stop. I will tell you what I find.